Hey everybody, this is Greg Ryder, and I've got a great, incredible, different use for BizPAD I want to share with you. And for me, it really kind of hits home. So it's about my son Gabriel. I'm at his Facebook page because I wanted to give you an idea what he's about. He's very much into personal development. He really likes the whole teaching, coaching, mentoring thing, and his whole dream in life is to be a PGA Tour star. And he's created a YouTube channel, and he's had hundreds of thousands, over 100,000 views to his videos on YouTube. And you can see he's got the little Vince Lombardi quote here, and he studied at the School of Hard Knocks, and I think that's funny. So anyway, so he came to me and he said, Dad, I want to start a business. I got to come up with a model. I want to make some money on the internet. I want to do this. I want to do that to support his golf habit. And so I said, okay. So I pulled on my coaching hat just real quick, got a little notepad out, started taking notes. I said, okay, Gabe, what is your vision? And what do you want to do? And he said, well, Dad, I want to interview the world's leading experts in the golf industry and compile the world's largest library of golf-related interviews. So I wrote this down. So immediately I knew I was going to use BizPAD to, one, archive this for history, timestamp it for history, two, to organize it for him, three, to create a vehicle to hold him accountable on his own dreams and own visions. So flow with me on this. So it's Gabe's new business. So I go into BizPAD, I create a new project called Gabe's New Business. I write down the vision, and I said, okay, what's your mission? What is it you want to do from this? He says, well, I want to use the wisdom that I learned from all these interviews to have a positive impact on young golfers. So he wants to coach and mentor young golfers. He also told me that when I get on the PGA Tour, he said, I want to be one of the guys that the crowds love and I'm going to sign the autographs, and I'm going to be a real proactive on the marketing and a people person because he likes that, right? So I said to myself, okay, I'm doing my little coaching right off the top. What are the goals? What's the education needed? What's the strategy? What's the business model? What's the tactics? Now, right now, I just want to kind of condense the folder structure to give you guys an idea of my thought process. I'm going, okay, you're going to start a new business. What's your vision? What's your mission? What's your goals? What education do you need to accomplish this? What's your strategy? What's the business model? Okay, now let's break it down into many itty bitty steps that I call tactics, right? So what I did up here on the filter bar, I clicked low and I hit refresh so I could condense down all my folders. But now I'm going to unclick low, I'm going to click to do, I'm going to hit refresh, and you're going to see how we filled it all in. So the goals are to become a PGA Tour golfer. The goals are to become a professional speaker. The goal is to become a personal development coach. The goal is to mentor young golfers. The goal is to write a book in 2013 of a compilation of all these best wisdom learned from all these interviews. So he wants to interview all these golfers. So, okay, I said, what education do you need to do this? He goes, well, I need to be a successful interviewer. I need to learn how to do good interviews. I don't know that I'm going to ask the right questions and how you prepare for an interview. So we wrote down, he's got to study successful interviewers, ask them how they prepare for an interview, what suggestions can they give me, what's the best strategy to contact people I want to interview, right? So there's probably some more that we missed, but that's what we came up with right off the bat. And I said, well, who would that be? And he's been following Darren Hardy, who is also a friend of mine. So I said, okay, let's get a hold of Darren Hardy. So we put Darren Hardy as one of the guys to contact, and you can see that we indented this task underneath that task to give it a little bit of organizational structure. And then I said, you should interview Roy Firestone because Roy Firestone has interviewed more athletes than any human being on planet Earth. And I happen to know Roy Firestone. So I put Roy Firestone down. And then I said, you got to interview Tom Wood. And Tom Wood is the guy that started Mastery TV. And he's an incredible orator and interviewer and speaker and trainer and coach. And he used to date my daughter. So we know Tom. So I said, okay, there's three people. You call them and ask them, what's the best questions? How's the best way to do an interview? Oh, now, by the way, he already had this conversation with Greg Reed, who is an incredible orator, speaker, and trainer coach as well, who wrote 3 Feet from Gold and works with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So he's already kind of started that, right? So then, in order to do these interviews, he has to use some technology. So we agreed that he would use Audio Acrobat because I'm familiar with that, and he could use Uvu Video for doing side-by-side video interviews. So I said, you have to get familiar with, and you have to learn these two programs. So that's one of the first things he has to do. So we created that task, and I made it high priority by clicking over here. So remember, we can assign a priority to a task over here. So then what we do is we go, okay, what's Gabe's to do? What's his high? Hit refresh. and boom, he's got to get familiar with the technology to do it. He's supposed to have done this by now. He's a day late. That's why it's showing red. And he's supposed to create a list of people that he wants to interview, his master hit list, and that's a day late, and I haven't seen him posting it here. So I got to get with him and go, hey, what's going on? You're behind on your schedule as his coach and mentor. Now, keep in mind, it's kind of hard for a dad to coach his son. But my son is very receptive, and he's incredible, so I'm very blessed. So I'm going to go back to refresh and go back to what's going on here. So, okay, we got the strategy. Okay, so we got the education. So the idea is I've organized the project. I've got the folders. I'm putting the tasks under the folders. And so what's the strategy? So the strategy is to interview big name successful people in the golf industry. Post the interviews on our website and YouTube and use these names to build credibility and build a list and build a website traffic for himself, right? So you can see how each one of these things drives the business itself as well as all the tasks. So again, you're starting a business. You want to get your business going. What's the vision? What's your mission? What's your goals? What's your strategy? Break that down. Now, what's the business model? Meaning how are we going to make money? How are we going to monetize this? So we said, okay, we're going to create coaching programs for golfers. He wants to create a program called Practice with a Purpose. He wants to create and sell information products. He wants to sell access to the interviews so we can archive these interviews, have a membership site. People pay $5, $10, $20 a month to have access to all these interviews, right? So those are the ones we just came up. Now, again, this is a 20-minute coaching brainstorming session with my son. Then we said, okay, now based on what we came up with so far, what are the tactics? Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to create a list of the people you want to interview. The top 100, the top 200, the top 50, what it is. Then we got to track down contact information to solicit the interview, right? And unfortunately, I had bought him the name GabrielWriter.com way back when, and somehow he didn't have the right email address and he lost the domain. So we're going to try to buy his domain back because I'm like, you got to build a brand around your name. So, and then at one point, he had interviewed Ricky Fowler, who's one of the hottest PGA Tour golfers going. And so we have a relationship with Ricky Fowler agent. We got to call him to get leads of people to call. He's got to create that interview strategy and checklist, right? He's got to, and then he's got to contact Darren Hardy and interview him on how to interview, and contact Tom Woods and interview him, and contact Tom Borgensen, which I don't know who that is. So you can see we're using BizPAD as a method for coaching, from like me being the coach to him, going, okay, now here's what you're going to do, Gabe, and we're going to log in here once a week. Matter of fact, I'm going to create that task right now. We're going to go in here, and I'm going to create a folder, miscellaneous tasks. So I'm going to put my cursor here. I'm going to hit folder. It's going to put it underneath. I'm going to go miscellaneous tasks, right? And then I'm going to put in here meet with dad and go over progress, right? So we're going to meet with dad and go over the progress, and then I'm going to hold him accountable to what he told me he wants to do, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over here to the right, and we're going to click this reoccurring settings, and I'm going to hit reoccurring schedule, and it's going to be weekly, and I want to do this on Fridays, I think. It's going to probably be better for me. Or no, maybe Tuesdays. Well, I'm going to set it Friday. I can always change it. I'm going to assign this to Gabe, and we're going to hit high priority because we want this to happen. And we're going to hit go. So now we've just created a reoccurring task that every week on Friday it's going to pop up, send an email, remind Gabe, you got to get with Dad. It'll remind me too because I'm part of the project. You got to get with Dad, and you got to go over the progress. And so I have a way to hold him accountable. So I think this is a great program for coaches. When you have blueprints, checklists, you want to start a new business, you want to event planning projects. I love BizPAD. So, you check it out, get your BizPAD account, use it for this stuff, organize your life, put it in here. You'll be more productive. You'll save time. You'll get things done. You'll be able to assign these tasks. It really will bring more money to your bottom line. So this is Greg saying, do what I do, man. Wake up every day with an attitude of gratitude and tell somebody you love them.